Friends, welcome in one-day workshop on a network technology. My name is Shrikant Patil. Currently, I am working with Tech Mahindra as a network engineer, designation-wise as a solution lead. First, I would like to thank you, Chairman Dr. M.R. Patil sir, Principal Dr. N.S. Zulpe sir, and my friend and Training and Placement Officer Kailash Zadhav sir for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. So today we are going to learn about, or we are going to see what exactly network is and why we do use network. So we are going to see. So in the introduction of the network, we'll see in the next slide what is network, need of network, challenges network, types of network, and how this thing works. So that all we are going to see one by one. So let's begin with the first slide. What is network? So network is nothing but sharing information. I believe you all are aware about what exactly network is. So see, if you are sitting at home connecting your mobile to your home appliance like Wi-Fi device, which means you are doing the networking. As a definition, two or more computers, two or more systems are connected to each other for sharing information purpose called as a network. So in this diagram, you can see this is a laptop, this is a desktop, this is a mobile. They all are connected to one of the device, which means these systems, mobile, printer, desktop, laptop, are connected to each other indirectly via this particular modem or router. So, and this particular router or modem is connected to the ISP. ISP is nothing but your internet service provider. So internet service provider, which means whoever is giving you facility to access internet, which is called the ISP. For example, if you have a Jio SIM, you are using internet using a Jio SIM, which means Jio is your ISP. So this is the ISP. This is a router or modem. So I'll explain in the next session what exactly router is, why do we use router and all stuff. I'll explain you later. So for now, just keep in mind what is network. Network is two or more devices, systems are connected to each other called as a network. So you can just imagine you are giving hotspot to your two or more friends for accessing internet or sharing some photographs called as a network. We are doing the network. So network already is in our life, but we just don't know we are using it. We are unaware of it. So in the next slide, need of networking. So now we know what is networking, or why we know what is network. So what is need of networking? Just imagine a world without Facebook, without YouTube, without Twitter, or any of the things which we are accessing using internet. For example, Google Pay or your smartphones. If you, for example, if you have a Apple 11 and which is not having the internet facility, would you use it? Many of you say yes, but I don't think so we can use it for long, just because if that particular mobile do not have a internet connection, so which means we are unable to access WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, or any of the video streaming sites. Nothing, we can't use it. So how it is possible to use this Facebook or any of the online streaming websites? So just because of the networking. This is the use of network. So first we can see resource sharing is one of the advantage using of network. What is resource sharing? Resource sharing, resource is nothing but your appliances like printer, your whatever the appliances you are using, like resource printer. We can say, just take an example. If you are in a lab and there is no networking, and each and every student required to take out some printouts. So if there is no networking, so if there are some 50 students in a lab, so they may require 50 printers with an individual, right? So just imagine we have a networking and we just placed one printer in a corner, and each and every student can take any printouts. So this is the use of network. We cannot bear the cost of 50 printers, right? So instead of that, we just did a networking. We all connected systems to each other and that printer. So just imagine we do not need to buy 50 printers. We can just buy one printer and we can share as a resource in all of them, right? So which means we are sharing a resource through a network or a data. Software and hardware resources can be shared irrespective of physical location of the resource and the user, which means in a Coxit college, I do remember we have online exams. So how we do achieve that online exams? So we do not need to print all the papers. We don't need to give all the students. What we did is we just launched one of the online program, and every person sitting at home or sitting at the lab, he can access that particular online exam, and he can see whatever the marks he got just one click, right? So imagine if there is no networking, so we need to print all those papers, we need to give individually each and every students, then it needs to be examine it, and then it need to deliver to the students. So all these what we can say efforts, we can minimizing it just using of resource sharing. Second is internet access. As I explained, without internet there would be no world. We are connected to each other using the internet access, right? So as I remember, we do have such a great opportunity to sharing some papers or using the online sessions or using the online data. I passed my one of the certifications that will come to know later. So using internet access, there are impossible things are we can now imagine that this is possible, right? E-commerce, like e-commerce is nothing but your online sites like Amazon, Flipkart, or your Myntra. All those e-commerce sites we are using as a networking. As I said, like we cannot imagine a world without emails or online newspapers, blogs, chat, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and other services offered by the internet. We can't imagine, right? So this is the use of network. You are using mobile, and it is having the WhatsApp. We are just sending a hi message. We can talk into the person wherever he is sitting in. Maybe he's in America or in England or Australia, doesn't matter, right? So this is the use of networking. So again, entertainment or the VoIP. VoIP is the new technology. Like right now we are using the landline phone, right? And landline phone having 6 digits of number. Now it is a past. Now VoIP, we are using the phone using the IP address. So I'll explain later what exactly the IP address is. This is the SD technology, the SD voice quality. You can hear it from the other side. Reliability, like a file can have its copies on 1 or 2. A file can have its more or 2 copies in the form of network. For example, if you have shared one, if you want to take a copy, so suppose Kailash sir want to give some copies to all of you students, right? So how you can share it? So there is one option without, if there is no network, or if you are not aware about the network. So what is the first option? So first option is each and every student has to come to the Kailash sir. He or she should give his or her pen drive to the Kailash sir. Kailash sir need to copy all of the data into that particular pen drive, which is with all students, right? So for suppose if we using a network, Kailash sir would share that particular file into he can store that particular single file into the Google store, online store, or the Google Drive, and each and every students can copy it from the drive. So he or she should not visit, or he or she should not need to come at the college or any place. They can take that copy from at their own places, wherever they are. So this is the reliability. Again, reduced cost. What is reduced cost? So as I said, printer example, we do not need to bear cost of 50 printers. We can just buy one printer, we can share all of the 50 students. And the fast communication, yes, of course, the fast communication, as I said, WhatsApp is the best example. We can just send a hi message and boom, it goes to the wherever the person is. Yes, as there are hundreds of advantages in the network, using the network, but there are some challenges of the network as well. That is the lack of security and the privacy. Yes, if you have internet connections, you don't know. I mean, there are some security concerns. If you don't handle this internet securely, so it may affect your bank balance as well. So there is one of the disadvantage or challenge we can say in the network. So second is presence of computer virus and the malware. There are some viruses, and malware is the nothing but your one of the program which specifically made for access your information. I'll give you an example. Like if I give you a malware, if you installed in your computer, so whatever you are doing in your computer, I can see what the passwords are, what exactly you did. Like you opened the Google Chrome, you opened one of the site, you entered your username and password, everything I can see from my place. So there are some tools as well. So don't ask me what exactly tools are or how you can install it. I don't know it. So these are some malware programs. Lack of independence. So in most cases, the client is dependent on the centralized server, and the client user lack of the freedom. Like if, let's take an example, we are connected to the Wi-Fi device, right? And Wi-Fi device is not working, so we are unable to access the internet, right? So many of you can say like, okay, we will use our mobile internet. That's fine, that is the another option. But what if laptop we are connected to the Wi-Fi device and we are unable to access internet? So that is one kind of reliability, or we are dependent to the another device. And need efficient handler. Yes, of course. If we don't know how to use it, or if we don't know how secure we are using it, so if we are accessing any of the random sites which may having the some fishy access or the insecure access, so it may take your bank balance, it may take your personal life, it may affect, of course. So these are some challenges. But if we are aware how to use internet, how to access the internet, how do we find what is secure, what to access, why, and what should not we access, so all those things, if we are aware, that's okay, we are good to go. So these are few challenges in the network. So I hope you got the idea of what is network, what is the need of network, and what are the challenges in the network. So there are some few types of network, so I'll not go into the deep. I'll just explain you what are the network types and other stuff, right? So if you are a college student right now, you can see in your lab there are some systems are connected. They do have some cable, like the internet cable, which is connected to your desktop. So that is nothing but your Ethernet cable. Let me see if I have it. So this is the cable which is connected to your desktop. So which means this is the Ethernet cable. So many of you already saw it in a cyber cafe or in your lab. This is called the Ethernet cable. all the systems are connected to your desktop to one of the switch is a device, network device. I will explain it in the next session. So this is the Ethernet cable which is connected to your desktop or your computer, and this is used for doing a networking job. Okay, so in this way all these systems or computers are connected to each other. So in your lab, if you can see, these are the computers connected to each other using a LAN. LAN is your nothing but your local area network. So let's start with the LAN. So LAN, local area network, this is a limited area, like your college or 2 or more buildings are connected to each other, called as a LAN. So this particular LAN having few computers, like they do not have the thousands or 10,000 computers connected to each other. No, they are having the limited computers to each other. They are having the limited access. Like you can imagine a LAN which means 100 computers or 500 systems or the 1000. That's it. I mean, you cannot expand it to more and more, thousands or more, 5,000. No, there are some limitations in the LAN, local area network. So it stores all the softwares and controls to the network. You can take one example like college or Coxit. So in a Coxit there are 6 or 7 labs, I believe. So those all are connected to each other. So if you are in a lab 1, if you want to access a file which you stored in the lab 6, you can access it. You do not need to go all way to lab number 6. You just access it from here. That we will see how we can access it later, someday later. But I can tell you, you can access it from lab 1. So this is called as a LAN. LAN is having some limitations, like it is not having thousands or more, 1,000, 5,000. No, there are having some limitations. So for example, college campus or the hospitals, like that way. So this is the LAN. What is MAN? MAN is a Metropolitan area network, which is spread over the city, like one of the city which is connected to each other. There are all systems are connected to each other, called as the MAN. For example, like cable TV networks, like that way. And the wide area network, which is called as the WAN. WAN is nothing but your internet. It is WAN do not have any kind of limitations. It connects whole entire world to each other. Like as I said, you are using WhatsApp, you are using any Facebook. So, and you can, while using Facebook, you can message any person. You can text it to you can message to Trump as well. Yes, you can. So which is possible using the networking, which is called as the network or the internet. And internet is the part of a WAN, or you can roughly say WAN is a internet. So larger geographical areas such as India or the United States or the world. So which is having the dedicated cabling or the satellite. You'll get surprised if I say there are thousands of cables are undersea from Mumbai to the New York. There are actual cables. Yes, there are actual cables. They are connected, physically connected. If you can say how it is possible, yes, it is possible. Even I was surprised, I was excited. I mean, how it is possible? Yes, it is possible. There are thousands of cables. They're connected to one of the seaport at the Mumbai, and they are connected to the in the USA, or any of the coastal cities like Chennai, Mumbai, or other cities. They all are connected to the other countries' cities like USA, Australia. All are there are physical cables are actually under the sea. So all are the cables. So as I said, largest WAN is the internet. WAN is nothing but your internet. If you can see how exactly internet looks like, so this is how internet looks like, and you are just a small part of internet, and you are just here. I don't know you are here or there, but we can imagine, right? So this is internet looks like. So now just imagine, I hope you got the idea what is network, use of network, challenges of network, what are the types of network, but how these things work. So firstly, these are the systems, few of the systems are connected to each other, but how exactly it happens? So we'll just go one by one. Computers networks connect nodes like computer, router and switches using cables. Cables are fiber optic, or as I just showed you, the Ethernet cable or the wireless signals. These connections allow devices in a network to communicate and share information and resources. Like as I explained earlier, the computer networks connect nodes. Nodes like computers, router switches. Router switches, those are the network devices. I would explain you in the next session what are the routers and switches. But how they are connected? They are using cables, which I showed you earlier, right? The Ethernet cable. There are types of cables as well: fiber optics, Ethernet, all those types, or the wireless signals as well. You can connect your devices using wireless signals as well. But for what purpose? Why we are connected to our devices to other devices? Of course, those systems nodes are connected to each other just to sharing or gaining some information. Network follows protocols which defines how communications are sent and received. These protocols allow devices to communicate each devices on a network used on an internet protocol or an IP address, a string of numbers that uniquely identifies device and allows the other device to recognize it. So if you are in the lockdown period, we are having some protocols, right? I mean, you cannot go outside. You cannot just roam here and there without a mask. There are some protocols, right? So whenever if you are talking about the network, or whenever we are talking about the communication of the computers or devices, which must have some protocols. Protocols are nothing but your rules. Protocols, which means rules. So while doing the communication, whenever we are connecting to each system to other system, which having some protocols. And what is IP address? So now you can remember me. Now you know me as a Shrikant, right? I have some name. So why do I have a name? To identify someone, right? So same way, if you are a device or node, which if I want to communicate with your device, I should know the name or the address of that device. So otherwise I cannot communicate, right? So same way, device should have some address so to communicate, so that device can communicate to the other device. So in the computer language, in the network language, which is having the IP address. IP address is nothing but you are one of the strange number. You can see it, that particular strange number like 1.1.1.1, which is your IP address. If you want to see, you can just go to, if you have connected your mobile to Wi-Fi device, then just go to the Wi-Fi icon, just click on the Wi-Fi and you can see what IP address is. Okay. Or if you have a laptop, you are connected to your internet, then you can just open the command prompt, type a command IP config, no space. So it will show what exactly the IP address is. So routers and the virtual physical devices are facilitate to communication between different networks. So router, I'll show you in the next diagram. This is the diagram. This is the router. Router is nothing but your intermediate. So this router can connect two or different networks to each other. For example, if you are, this is a lab 1, this is lab 2, those all are connected to one of the router. Okay, and this is connected to your internet, which means ISP. Okay, this is ISP. So these two routers are connected, these two different, this is the staff department, for example, this is the account department. So all those two departments are connected to the single router. So this is the router, is a device which connects to a different network. So this is how the systems, or this is how nodes or computers, printers are connected to each other using the internet. This is the router. As I said, I'll explain what is router in the next session. So I hope you got the idea, right? How it communicates. So let's take an example. Suppose this particular client want to access google.com or the coxit.org.com. Then he would open his browser. He would type www.coxit.org.in. It would go to the switch. Switch is nothing but your device where all devices are connected. This switch will take that particular google.com. It would send it to the router. Router would check, okay, this is the google.com request. I would send it to the internet or the coxit.org, which needs an internet. So it will send to the internet device. So this is the exactly process. But as I said, what happens when you type www.coxit.org.in? As I said in this diagram, so this particular client type www.coxit.org.in. So what happens? So you also wonder, right? Whenever you just open your mobile, you went to the Google Chrome, you typed something coxit.org or any other site, and that page appears on your screen. So how these things happen? So there is some mechanism behind it. There is called the DNS. DNS is a domain name system. Just remember, there is some concept like DNS. Just remember it. I'll explain it later. So suppose that client 2 accessed a www.coxit.org.in. So first that particular request goes to this switch. In your system or your lab or in your mobile, there is some cache file, right? So in the cache, if you earlier accessed one of the website like google.com or anything, it would show immediately, okay? And by chance, suppose you do not have if you never accessed that particular website before, so what exactly happens? This particular request would go to the switch. So switch is your one of the central device which is connected all the other systems to single system switch. So switch will check, okay, do I know what is coxit.org? He would try to ask with this device, with this printer, with this servers. These all devices say no, we don't know what is coxit.org. Okay, so then it would send to the router. He will ask, okay, router, tell me what is coxit.org. So router would check with this lab. This particular router would ask this particular switch, do you know any of the coxit.org? This switch will ask all of the systems. All systems replies, no, we don't know coxit.org. Switch says, okay, in a staff department, nobody knows what is coxit.org. Then router would ask the internet. Okay, when I say internet, so this is the company local DNS server. Each and every system or the ISP having their own servers, like there are some IP addresses, right? So in a computer language, computer do not understand, let me explain this. Computer do not understand this language, like if I say what is coxit.org or anything, no. Computer do not understand this kind of language. They do understand binary language. Binary means 0 and 1. So in this particular thing like coxit.org, they do have some address like 1.1.1.1. This kind of IP address which is Coxit is having. So if I typed www.coxit.org.in, but computer do not understand what is Coxit, so that particular coxit.org which needs to be converted into the binary language. So to convert kind of binary language, which means IP address, so this again we will convert into 0 and 1, that we will see some later day. So this particular coxit.org URL which is needs to be convert 0 and 1, which means which needs to be converted into the IP address. So but we don't know what is the IP address of coxit.org.in, so that's what it would send to the internet to find out what is the exact IP address of the coxit.org, because this lab 1 and lab 2 are unable to find what is the IP address. So router is trying to ask internet, do you know IP address of coxit.org.in? So company or local DNS is checked and is unable to find the address. For example, you are using the Geo SIM and you are accessing internet using the Geo SIM. So first my request would go to the Geo server. So Geo server will check whether I have IP address of coxit.org. He would check. He would say no, I don't have it. So ISP DNS checked and they unable to find it. ISP, as I said, Geo is your local, and the ISP, both are the same things. So if they both are unable to access or find out what is the IP address of the coxit, then it would send the root DNS, which means the boss of DNS server. The boss of DNS server means like Google. They do know everything about you and the particular website, like what exactly IP address of the coxit. So when your request goes to this DNS, so he would say, okay, I do have the coxit.org website and this is the IP address of this coxit, like this is the IP address of the coxit, and it would say, okay, this is 1.1.1.1 IP address of the coxit, and once it find out, it would give the reply to our client. So as I said, router would ask to the internet, what is coxit.org.in IP address? So internet would go to the ISP unable to find it, then it would go to the root DNS server like Google. So Google will find it out, okay, this is the coxit and this is the IP address. Then it would reply, okay, this is the IP address of the Google, or sorry, this is the IP address of the coxit. Then it would send to the again this particular client too, and this is how communication goes in. This is just a high level view, just don't get it confused. This is a very simple. We can see someday like how exactly it happens and what is the process. As I said, same process, but I will show you in the pictorial way. So this is the first session. So I hope you got the idea about network, need, how it works and other stuff, right? So in the next session we would see what are the opportunities in the networking field. So this is a quite interesting field, and I was also not interested earlier, but once I joined this particular networking field, I'm very glad to say I'm very happy at this, and there are ocean of opportunities in the networking. So I hope you liked this video and share some feedback. So we'll see you in the next session. Thank you.